This is Social Leopards. I'm Bea.
And I'm Beth. A leopard is a solitary creature living in the jungle, but often not seen or noticed. Are you a solitary creature trying to navigate the social jungle?
This show explores loneliness and the many ways forward. Welcome to Social Leopards.
Hello, everybody. I am Beth.
And I'm Bea.
And we are here today with Ashton Williams. She is a certified self-love coach, and she helps women transform self-doubt and anxiety into self-love. Her passion is helping women who are struggling with their belief system and doubt themselves. She is accompanied today by Ella, the hunting dog, so you may hear her in the background a little bit. And we are going to embrace Ella as we are embracing our conversation with Ashton today. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. And Ella says hi.
Hi, Ella.
I love it. Yes. I like real life. And we do that at work, too, because we're a remote work facility. And so when children and animals, we often, not so much in my current role, but my old, we would see cats coming across desks. And
That's awesome.
We have someone with a puppy right now, a Great Dane puppy.
Oh,
It's like the puppy.
It's probably not as a puppy. It's probably a full-size regular dog.
Looks like it. Yeah. 36 pounds last time.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, that is not a puppy. And the Great Dane believes that it's a lap dog. It's pretty amazing, but very docile.
Ella thinks the same thing. We have a little Yorkie, too, so she thinks she's the same size as the Yorkie. And it's cute, though. It's cute. I say that as she, just jumps on top of me and squishes me, but, yeah.
Yeah, they need to feel that love, too, right? It's important. Love is important. So, can you share a little bit about your personal journey or your story just to get us started on this conversation?
Sure. So I initially took an interest in becoming a self-love coach after my cousin passed away in 2017. I think his death really just made me feel lost and untethered in all areas of my life. I felt like I was unsure of who I was at that point, what I was meant to be doing, where I was meant to be going. And it was very lonely. It was very isolating. He was my favorite person in the whole world. So when he died, I just felt this deep depression take over. And I knew I had to do something to help myself, or otherwise it was just going to completely consume me. And so that's when I found Gloria Zhang. She showed up on my Instagram. I still, to this day, just cannot even tell you how she showed up there. One day she was just on my feed, dancing and doing inner child skits. And it just really resonated with me because she really spoke about connecting with your inner child and giving that inner child some love and compassion and care. And I was like, maybe if I can do that. Little Ashton is the one who was so absorbed and so consumed with Brandon, and we grew up together. And so I was like, if I can heal that part of me, maybe it will also help me deal with his death in a healthy way instead of what was happening, which was like a deep depression and crying and everything. Yeah.
That is a lovely story. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Of course.
How does someone become a self-love coach, out of curiosity?
While I was in Gloria's Heal Your Inner Child program, she introduced the concept of self-love. And I guess up until that point, it wasn't something that I heard about a lot. So it was brand new. And so I was really fascinated. And so I just got on Google one day and I was like, a self-love coach sounds interesting, but is that even a thing? And sure enough, it was. And I found Melanie Monaco's self-love coaching certification course. So I immediately signed up. And at this point, I was still talking to Gloria on a fairly regular basis. And so when I told her that I was becoming a coach and I was getting certified, she immediately hired me in her program, which was, I believe it was a situationship to soulmate. So it was the course that she did directly after healing your inner child. So it was like you heal your inner child and then you learn how to have a healthy relationship with boundaries and things like that. And I was a coach for her for about a year, maybe a year and a half, which was a beautiful experience. I learned a whole lot. But inside the self-love coaching program with Melanie, I learned a lot of helpful tools and techniques that helped me with my grief, that helped me overcome my own self-doubt and insecurities. And I can use those same tools to help my clients become their best selves, pretty much.
So how do you know if you have self-love, or what is self-love actually?
So I think self-love it's just about embracing all aspects of who you are, your strengths, your weaknesses, acknowledging those things, really being aware of them and accepting them, and just accepting who you are wholeheartedly, and not trying to change yourself because someone else wants you to, or because you feel like you have to in order to be accepted by other people. In her course, she had a particular framework and these goals that we had to hit to really achieve self-love. And the one that stuck out to me the most was self-acceptance. I want to say that was about the second step in it. And it made me realize, oh, okay, this is the one that I'm really struggling with. And I have been struggling with this for years because I was the one who was constantly trying to find validation, with my in-laws. I wanted to find that acceptance with my professors in college, pretty much just everybody and anybody who showed me any sort of attention or affection. And when you do that, it really leaves you feeling alone and disappointed because I feel like I had certain expectations. They were way up here and they just were not realistic. And so I was feeling so disappointed and hurt that this other person just didn't accept me for who I am, and what was wrong with me, and it just made me doubt myself even more. But being in that program, it was oh, okay, this is something that I actually have to do for myself. This is something I have to find within myself. I can't keep searching for it in other people, places, and things. So it was really just an enlightening experience that just really made me open up my mind, and it opened up my world to a whole new perspective.
And as you coach people, I, how do I even want to ask this question? I think we both come across people who feel like they're unlovable.
It's true.
I've
Yeah.
heard that so many times. I am a pathetic person. I am worthless. I have no value. I am unlovable. And how do you start to change that? It's an inner voice, and it probably KL's telling you something similar, or
Exactly.
some past failure, right? So how do
Yes.
you address that positively so that you can start to be the change within yourself? Because I feel that people get stuck right there where the voice that they hear now inside of them is
Yeah.
immovable.
Yeah, that's something that I'm going to address in the Self Acceptance Academy. So that's all going to be about limiting beliefs, your negative thoughts, where they originated and why you have them. It's about self-awareness. It's about realizing, yeah, I have this negative thought, but you're used to it, right? It's always there. So it becomes the norm, but it isn't, right? So you have to find out okay, why am I thinking this? How often do I think this in a day? Who did I first hear this from? Because I think that one thing I learned in Gloria's course was we have a lot of beliefs that are not our own, and they're often our parents or our caregivers. So it could be something like religion. We learn religion as a kid. Is that something that we still believe as an adult, or has that kind of changed? And it's about acknowledging that and really questioning those things as an adult, which I think is something that we often don't even think about doing, but I think it's really important. So if you for me, I have always felt like I wasn't good enough because I think I wanted to find that validation in other people, and I wanted to find that acceptance because I didn't have it in myself. And I have this reoccurring thought of I'm not good enough, or I'm too much, or I'm too loud, or I'm too eccentric, right? I wear too much black and people think it's weird. So it's just okay. Where did that come from? It came from feeling nothing against my parents. I love my mom and I love my dad. Them not really being affectionate. I know they love me, but they were not good at actually verbalizing that. And sometimes their parenting style was to criticize, or or maybe even it just came off that way. Maybe that wasn't even what they meant. But so I took that with me and I held on to it, and now it's here with me as an adult. And it's okay if I have this thought of I'm too much or I'm not good enough. What in this moment is making me have that thought? Was it something my boss said to me? or
Mhm.
something my coworker said to me. I feel like we all have a trigger for those things. And it's just about identifying what that trigger is and being like, okay, maybe I got criticized at work. Maybe I did something wrong.
Mhm.
Maybe my boss wants me to correct it. And then I just have this feeling of, oh my God, I'm a failure. What am I going to do? But it's okay. Yes, you made this one mistake, but that doesn't mean that you're a failure as a human being. It means that you're human. No one is perfect. We all make mistakes. So it's reminding yourself of that and being like, okay, just taking a breath, breathing. I think breathing exercises are so important and just being centered, bringing
Mhm.
yourself back from like
Mhm.
that anxiety and that overwhelm.
Mhm.
So I don't know if you've heard of him, but I absolutely love him. His name is Dr. Daniel Amen. And he always says that you have to question your thoughts, right? Because the
Mhm.
things that we believe are
Mhm.
never true or
Mhm.
mostly never true. So
Mhm.
if you have that thought, you're like, is it true? Is it really true? Most of the time, no, it's not. And then it's okay. Well, how would I be feeling if I didn't have that thought right
Mhm.
now? You'd probably be doing pretty good.
Mhm.
And so it's just about questioning that. And that's something that we're going to get into in the Self Acceptance Academy. And we're going to reframe that and
Mhm.
rewrite those beliefs because it's not something that you have to spend your whole life thinking, right? You can notice it now and you can begin to change it and you can word it differently. It's a process. It's not going to happen overnight, of course. But if you think, oh, I'm not good enough because of this critique that I got at work, you could be like, no, I made a mistake at work, but I'm doing what I can to fix it, right? You're doing the right things, you're making the right moves. And so it's when you feel or you say that you're anxious, right? You say, I am anxious or I am depressed. And I feel like when you say it in that way, you're making it your identity, right?
Mhm.
Like you're
Mhm.
making that one
Mhm.
feeling your whole identity. And that is overwhelming. That is a lot for anybody. So it's about taking a step back and being like, no, I am feeling anxious or I am feeling depressed in this moment. That feelings are fleeting, right? It's not going to be forever.
Mhm.
And so I think it just takes taking a step back, taking a breath, and learning to question things.
Now, how do you internalize that self-love? So here's what my example. You go to an event and you have some friends at this event, and then there are new people, and those new people don't really connect with you, getting anxious and thinking, oh my gosh, I am not worthy. How would you? So I guess my question is, how do you continue to feel that good self-love in that situation?
Mhm. One thing I've learned even recently is if you look for the bad, if you expect the bad, if you go into a social situation like that and you're anxious and you're like, oh my gosh, are they going to like me? They're being standoffish. They're not really talking a whole lot. Does that mean they don't like me? Are they judging me right now? But if you just stop and you're like, no, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to think that. I'm going to be like, I'm going to reach out. I'm going to try to find a connection. I'm going to try to have this conversation about, hey, how are you today? Did you do anything fun today? Just finding that connection and finding that feel good feeling because I feel like so often in situations like that, we can be judgmental. We're just like straight off the bat, we're just like, oh my gosh, they don't like me because they're
Mhm.
not
Mhm.
talking.
Mhm.
You have to be like, maybe they're anxious too.
Mhm.
Maybe they're nervous. Maybe they're an introvert and they're not the best at communicating or meeting new people. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? It's not always something negative or something bad. And I think it's important to go into any situation just knowing that and keeping that in the back of your mind because and this is something that happened to me recently too. I was at work and my boss she doesn't really know if I can do this new role, right? It's a case manager position and she's anxious about giving me the job and she's just not really sure. And so even knowing everything that I know, right, that's what I focused on. I was just, oh my God, like she doesn't believe in me. I'm going to suck at this position. I'm going to mess it up and I'm going to prove her right. But I had to stop and be like, okay, I'm focusing on the wrong bit of that, right? Like I had 4 or 5 coworkers step in on my behalf and tell her and email her and be like, no, she can do this job. She's really good at it. You're not actually physically here, so you don't see all of that. We believe in her and we believe that she can do this. And so I just had to be like, okay, I'm focusing on the bad, but I need to focus on all of these wonderful coworkers who took up for me and stepped up for me and believed in me and focus on the good. Because I feel like if you focus on the bad and you just dwell on things, you can make yourself depressed and super anxious. So it's a process and it's something that it's a skill set. So it's something that you just have to keep working at until that sort of becomes the habit. So I'm still working on it, but I'm getting better every day.
That's a great ideas. Thank you.
Yeah. So what do you think the most tangible benefit of embracing self-love is, in your opinion?
I think that when you love yourself, you show up in reality in your world so much better. Like you're happier, you have a bounce in your step, you are more helpful towards your friends and your family, and you are just showing up as your highest self, your best self. And I think that if self-love isn't there, you're not showing up as your best self. You're showing up as the self that is tired, that is doubting yourself, that is just unsure. And when you are in that state of mind, you're not going to receive everything that is meant for you. I think that when you are in this state of self-love and self-acceptance, like you are just going to kind of step into your true power and all of the things that are meant for you, all of the good. So I think that it's an incentive to try to find that self-love and that self-acceptance.
As you were saying that, it reminds me of a couple of days I've had over at work in the past couple of weeks. And on days when I was exposed to, I guess is the nicest way to say it, some negative talk and some people who were maybe not saying things that were super constructive about coworkers or other people that I'm working with, as opposed to those days when I had my attitude and I was able to counteract that and focus on the positive. I consider those days to be much more productive and much more satisfying than a day when it seemed like negativity was the overarching ruler of the day, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And one thing I learned from Melanie was hurt people hurt people. And so when you are faced with a lot of judgment and a lot of criticism, it often has absolutely nothing to do with you and everything to do with them.
Yes.
And the pain that they're going through, maybe they have a lot of childhood trauma they haven't dealt with. Maybe they're living in an unhappy marriage. Maybe they are bitter. And so that lens, it's going to just affect the way that they view everyone and everything.
Right.
And even if, and it goes beyond that, right? Yes, hurt people, but also maybe those people just aren't meant for you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that's a good one because I think to myself, like in certain situations, and Beth's been part of them too, sometimes we go to these events and then there's this group of people that you've got your people that are always talking to you. Then there are the new people. And sometimes they might talk to maybe Beth, but they're not going to talk to me. To realize that even if that's a hurt person, or maybe that's not a hurt person, that's a person that's just not meant for me. And I like that
Exactly.
much better because then you can start going in your head, did I say something wrong? Was I rude? When you start like overanalyzing, then you realize it doesn't matter because time and time again, it's the same person who you still don't connect with. And so at some point you have to just let it go. Yeah.
And it's also along the lines that I think best intent, I think, is always a good way to go. Not assuming that anyone is purposefully waking up in the morning saying, I wonder how I can hurt Ashton's feelings today. Wakes up saying that.
Unless there's
right?
a certain person that you've had that experience with, which we're not going to talk about. That's a whole nother podcast.
No, we're not gonna talk about that. There are people who are like downright rude, intentional, but generally speaking, in most situations,
that's not the case.
I don't think that's the case, especially in social circles. I think want to be accepted, want to be liked, want to feel the same thing. And then sometimes it just comes off as a little awkward or their anxiety is getting the better of them. I know sometimes when I get super excited or passionate about something, then you can't shut me up. And people have stopped listening and I'm the last person to get that social cue. Aww. And so then I have to back off and that are super exciting to me, like my podcast. You know, people have a mild interest in.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
Oh, it's funny that my friend the other day, she said, I'm so sorry. I'm just not a podcaster. And I haven't listened. I said, it's fine. I wasn't like pressuring you to do anything, but she felt so bad. I'm just like, that was sweet. But I never even gave it like a second thought. Because we're not like going around, you need to listen to Social Leopards or I'm going to slash your tires. Maybe I should be doing that. I don't know.
No, let's not do that.
And two, I think it's important to remember that I think that we can get inside of our heads sometimes and think that people are thinking about us way more than they actually are. Like you have to remember nobody else is concerned about you as much as you are concerned with you. You know what I mean?
And I judgment is a
Mhm.
really powerful fear. When people feel as if taking the risk of socializing or interacting with others is going to result in they have a deep humiliation wound.
Yes,
And
yes,
I think that impacts too. And that's part
definitely.
of what I love about self-love and self-care and self-compassion is that you can start peeling back those layers, showing compassion to yourself first. Sometimes getting to the self-acceptance part, I think, is the biggest barrier, right?
Yes, yes, I think so. It's been a journey, that's for sure.
Mm,
Because with self-acceptance, you not only have to accept every part of who you are, but you have to really be honest about what you're willing to accept in your life.
right.
The people, the relationships, the friendships, the job, the lifestyle. And you really have to ask yourself, like, is this person really serving me? Or whenever I leave this room, do I feel so badly about myself? Do I feel so depressed? Are they draining you? And that's when you just really have to pay attention to the people, places, and things that are in your life and ask yourself, am I willing to accept this? Is this a behavior that I can live with? Or do I need to start putting myself first?
And another thing about conscious change, and I don't know if you address this at all, is, and we talked about this a few episodes back, it came up in conversation, I think, is when you start to make changes in yourself, people in your life may not be
On board
ready
with
to,
that.
yeah,
Mhm.
they might be used
Yeah.
to a certain version of you,
Mhm.
and you start to love the version of you. You have to also be open to the fact that might start to impact your social circle in a way that is unexpected, but you have to really be dedicated to that change and find the people that truly embrace the new you, because
Exactly.
you're going to draw people to you based on your energy.
Yes.
Oh,
And
yes, I
and
believe that.
and that's exactly what you were just talking about a couple minutes ago about you're in a social situation and you're not bringing your best foot forward, you're tired, and you're definitely affecting people around you, and some people are gonna respond to that energy of run away. It's gonna detract them because they feel that feeling of maybe sadness. So, yeah, that's definitely
Yes.
true.
And I think people get stuck in maybe a certain phase of life because they are afraid of losing people, of these lifelong friendships that they've had for 10, 15 years, and they are afraid of being alone and feeling isolated. And so they stay the same, even though they know that it's not what's best for them. And I've had to learn that it's okay to lose people along this journey because it doesn't mean that it's forever. You could come back in 2 years from now, 5 years from now, and reevaluate. Maybe you've grown similarly, maybe you've grown together, and maybe not. But I'm a firm believer that when you lose someone, you gain someone. Like, as soon as someone kind of walks out that door, someone new is going to walk in.
Someone who will accept you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep, exactly
And
as you
love
are.
you. Yes,
Yes.
yes, exactly.
I love your positive energy. It's just wonderful the way you view life. I'm just really enjoying this.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that.
Can you share a success story with us of some sort of a significant transformation, and anonymously, of course, of someone's journey was changed by embracing self-love?
Yes. So I've worked with quite a few people with Gloria and a few without. But there is this one person who sticks out from the rest. I think that we did a lot of work around self-love and overcoming self-doubt and criticism, but I also tried to include the inner child as well because I think that is so valuable and it's so important when you are trying to love yourself because I think the wounds that we have are not just from today and like the past few years, like they are from our childhood. And it's something that we do not address enough. And so she really loved the fact that I took the inner child and self love and worked on that, weaved that in together. And she, after our sessions, she had a renewed sense of self and she had a new appreciation for herself and all of the things that she had been through. And I think that's important too, is something that kind of I realized is like understanding why your parents are the way that they are. I think it makes it easier to heal and to face all of those things. Of course, it's not going to be easy. And of course, there's a lot of other things that you have to do along with that. But I think if you could understand it and maybe offer some forgiveness and empathy along the way, it will definitely serve you in the long run.
Can you share your favorite inner child exercise with us? I know I've seen plenty of different things that you have been demonstrating, and I'll let you self-promote your Instagram site shortly, but I've seen some really good ones. What's your favorite?
So I'm really into visualizations lately, and that is something that I learned in Melanie's program. And so this is going to be an exercise in my course, so you'll get a little taste. So it's about creating a safe space for yourself in this visualization. So it's about, you can have anything in this visualization, right? Like you could have unicorns, you could be floating on a cloud, anything that feels good to you and that makes you feel like peace and happiness. And so it's like in this safe space, you can allow your little version of you, little little Ashton, to come through and meet you in this safe place. And you can spend time with her and hug her and show her affection and kind of say all of the things that you need to say to her in this visualization as she's staring right at you, as she's in front of you. And that's been really powerful, just being able to actually see her in my mind and had like the outfits that I used to wear as a kid and like the pigtails and everything. And it's just right there. And I can just say and do everything that I feel that I need to do. It's super healing and you just feel so much better afterwards.
Why is the inner child and embracing your inner child important to realizing self-love?
I think it's a key component because if you're holding on to a lot of self doubt and criticism, yeah, you're not going to really step into self-love, right? There's a part of you that's gonna be kinda held back, and I think a lot of that does come from your childhood and the things that you were taught and the things, the things that you learn, the things that you go through as a child, and I'm not saying that parents intentionally try to hurt you, I don't think that at all. Being human is hard. Raising another human is hard, and so, of course, we're gonna have some pitfalls along the way, and I think all of us can or have experienced some sort of trauma without even really meaning to. And so if we can address that head on and just give ourselves some love and compassion and forgiveness, that will go a long way.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about just what you said, just made me spark about my parents aging, and I'm going through a tough process with them right now. But I did get to know them a little bit more through this
Mhm.
process. And as you said, tried hard to understand who they were and what their motivations were, and tried to be more compassionate and loving toward difficult as that is. It is so important. So yes, it's a very good point that you brought up.
Yeah. I think
Thank
that's paired with how did we get to this point?
Exactly.
Right?
It is.
Yeah.
It always is. But it's definitely, you have to think about what their lives were like. And they were World War children during that war, during the, and they moved to this country. They were immigrants. So they have an enormous amount of trauma,
Mhm.
moving in their mid-20s, starting a life, raising children without understanding the social norms of this country, without really language, without having the adaptive skills. So my brother and I were like guinea pigs, honestly. Our kids are going to have it much easier, but that is something that I've spent a lot of time reflecting on, as they get closer to going to the other side, as they say. And it's been a healing moment for me. But I also think what you said about thinking about my inner child, thinking about that also would be very helpful.
Hmm.
Yeah, so
Yes, show her
Giving
some
yourself
love, give her
permission.
a hug.
yes, yes. Okay, gonna work on it.
Permission is so important, right?
Yes,
To
permission.
feel the
Yes.
feelings, sit with the feelings, understand
Mm,
feelings are there. And then I think that's the key to opening the door towards feeling okay
Yeah.
about how you feel.
definitely. And I want to share with you something that Melanie shared with me early in the program, which was you do the best that you can with what you know at the time. And so that sort of goes with what you were saying with your parents. Like they did the best they could with what they knew at the time.
Yeah.
And of course now they probably do know better. But it's about constantly evolving and changing and And it's okay to realize that, hey, they did the best they could. It wasn't the best, but they genuinely tried.
They did.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really great. So before we begin to wrap up, are there any final thoughts that you want to leave us with? And then I also want to give you an opportunity to shamelessly self-promo your details for anyone who might be listening and might want to touch base with you or check you out further.
Okay, awesome. So I just want to share that you are enough as you are, and you don't need to change for your parents, for your boss, for your spouse. I think that we can feel like we are not enough sometimes, and we need to change who we are and the way that we move through life and the way we do things. And that's just not true. You're enough simply because you exist, right? You deserve to have all of the good things just because you're here and you're human and you exist in this world. And I think that that's an important message because it's not about the things that you do or the things that you achieve. It's about how you make others feel and in the legacy that you're leaving behind. And yeah, so just remember that the next time that you feel sad or you feel doubt or anxious, like you belong.
Yes. I need to be meditating while I'm listening to this message.
Yeah. I love it. Yes, and you can find me on Instagram. I recently changed my handle. So now it is Ashton, ASHTON .self-love coach.
Okay.
So, and I'm constantly posting reels of me dancing or doing something, and you'll get a good laugh. But it's also about posts that I make about self-love and self-doubt and self-acceptance and negative thoughts, just all of the things.
And Ella, who was very well behaved, gave us one final.
She did. She wanted to say hello again or goodbye.
She wanted to say goodbye.
Aww. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so very much for your time today. We appreciate it so much. And I feel like this was really good information. And it comes on the end of some really serious conversations that we've had recently. And so this will be a nice, lighter, more positive addition for self-growth, self-compassion, and of course, self-love. Thank you, Ashton.
Thank you guys for having me. I really enjoyed this conversation. I loved being here. And I hope that maybe I can be on here again soon and I can talk to you about the Self-Acceptance Academy.
And that would be wonderful. You would love to hear that. Yeah, awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, everybody. Until next week. Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a great week.
Hey, Social Leopards. Don't slink back into the jungle quite yet. We have 2 important messages to share. First, remember to like this episode, drop us a comment, and if you haven't done it yet, follow this show or subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can reach us on social media. You can also email share@socialleopards.com to contact us privately. All links are in the show notes. We love and appreciate hearing from those who listen to the show.
Second, we want you to know that this show is not intended to be a replacement for professional therapy. If you are struggling or if you need to interact with another person, check out the show notes for resources. Thanks for listening.